Hello, in this video, we will study the poem The Birches. So, I have done it in this way that first I have written the paraphrase of the poem in my own simplistic language so that you understand the line by line, and then I'll teach you the text. So, let us begin. So, in the first line, the poet is saying that there is a tree called Birches tree, and it is found in one of the villages of America, which is called New England. So the poem starts in a place in America, a small village called New England. The place is England, but it is in America. The poet is describing a tree called birches, which can bend from right to left. See, look at the picture. So this tree birches, it has the capacity to bend from right to left or left to right. So it is a tree birches which can bend. Then poet is saying that some of the tree is darker at the back and the front ones are not so dark. So when he is passing to that place, he sees that there are some trees which are darker and some are not so dark. So he sees the contrast between not so dark and dark, which are bent from left to right. Then poet says that he wants to imagine that this tree which is bending right to left, he wants to imagine that the tree has been bent because of some boy who has been playing. But the poet knows that it is not the truth. The truth is something else. So the first line is describing a tree called birches. Then he's saying that some of the trees which are of darker color, some are not so dark color. Then he says, I want to imagine, I want खुद से सोचना ये चाहता हूँ, हकीकत ये नहीं है, but he wants to imagine that the tree is bent because of the boy bending it. But that's not the fact. That's not the truth. Then poet says, the swinging of the tree can bend the tree. When a tree can be bent, even by the boys. And the tree can be bent when there is a lot of snowfall gathered on the branches of the tree. But the swinging of the tree can be bent by the boys and it can also be bent by the snow. But the bending by the snow is more powerful, permanent, and long lasting than the boys. The bending done by the boys is very temporary. जब ये बच्चे ट्री पे झूलते हैं तो ट्री थोड़ा सा झुक जाता है, लेकिन ये झुकना is not long lasting, and the bending done by the snow, which is very very long time, ये थोड़ा लंबा जाता है. So in line 4 and 5 the poet is saying the swinging of the tree by the boys can bend the tree, but the bending by the snow is more powerful and long lasting. Then poet says this is the common scenario in England during winter season. I mean New England in America, or where poet used to live. Okay, so in a village. So poet is saying that after snow the tree used to get covered and it used to shine in the morning. So here is poet describing the native uh, villages of America. When there is a snowfall in America, in this part of America, the tree is covered with ice and it shines in the morning. It's so beautiful. Then poet says when the tree is filled with snow, when the tree is filled with snow, and then the wind blows, then the snow covered branches hit one another. इस ब्रांच पे भी स्नो है, दूसरे ब्रांच पे भी स्नो है. So एक ब्रांच दूसरे ब्रांच को हिट करता है. तो अब वो स्नो जम गया था तो क्रैक हो जाता है. So there's a crack and the hard layer breaks like snow. And the sunlight passes through the snow and it looks like a prism effect, a multicolored effect. So when the wind blows, the snow covered branches hit one another, and by hitting of the branches, the snow cracks and the layer of the snow falls down, and through that snow, which is like a glass, the sunlight passes through it and it produces lots of multicolored effect by the diffusion of light. Then poet says, when the sunlight increases, the crystal covering of the snow ट्री के ऊपर जो इतना बड़ा स्नो होता है उससे लाइट पास करता है। ट्री के ऊपर बहुत सारे स्नो है। सो जब सनलाइट उस स्नो से पास करता है तो it looks like as if it's a prism effect. When the sunlight increases, the crystal covering on the snow falls. Some of them it falls on the ground, and the snow breaks into various pieces. Look at the diagram, and the glass, and then कुछ कुछ बहुत hard hurt हो जाते हैं। Glasses कुछ कुछ बहुत सख्त होते हैं। The sweeper has to come and sweep it. It's a job in Boston, in New England, in the villages of America कि जब स्नो गिरता है तो बहुत सारे ग्लास के पीछे जैसे टुकड़ों में बिखर जाता है, उसको एक झाड़ूदार आके झाड़ू देता है। So when sunlight increases, the crystal covering of the snow falls down from the tree in big mass of snow. And the snow is some of the snow is like glass and it breaks into small pieces on the ground, which also has snow. So the glass, small glass like pieces are swept away by the people who come, the sweeper. The breaking of the glass, जो ट्री के ट्रंक के ऊपर इतना बड़ा स्नो का मोल्ड बन जाता है, गुम्बद जैसा, डोम जैसा। सो यहाँ नेक्स्ट लाइन में ऑथर इज सेइंग द ब्रेकिंग ऑफ द ग्लास इज कंपेयर टू, जो ट्री के ट्रंक के ऊपर जो गुम्बद बनता है वो ऐसे टूटता है, ऐसे लगता है हेवन का स्ट्रक्चर ही टूट गया। So here poet is giving us a suggestion of breaking up something very very significant and very religious. Tree के trunk के ऊपर snow गिर रहा है. So author could have used any word, but he's specifically using the word called dome, which is normally associated with religion. It is found in the top of a mosque or a religious place like some of the church or some other religious mandir also has some kind of tomb. मस्जिदों में होते हैं। सो मस्जिद के ऊपर गुम्बज होता है, उसको इंग्लिश में डोम बोलते हैं। सो ट्री के ट्रंक के ऊपर जो स्नो है, ट्री के ट्रंक के ऊपर जो स्नो है वो टूट के ऐसे बिखर जा रहा है जैसे लग रहा है कि गुम्बज ही टूट गया हो। Here by author is trying to say something significant is broken. The tree is pulled down to touch the small parts. इतना ट्री पे बर्फ जम जाता है कि ट्री झुक 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 के एकदम जमीन में चला जाता है। So the tree is pulled down by the load of the snow and it almost touches the grass on the ground. Then poet is saying in the next line, this tree birches does not seem to break by the load of the snow. माने इसके ऊपर स्नो गिरता है लेकिन ये बेंड तो होता है बहुत दिन तक, लेकिन टूटता नहीं है। So this is the trunk of the tree and the snow falls and it bends, but it does not break. When the snow falls on the trunk of the tree, when the snow falls on the trunk of the tree, because of the load of the snow, the branches bend. The branches bend, but it does not break. And it becomes so bent that it does not again come back to its normal position. So ये ट्री का ट्रंक इतना झुक जाता है, look at the picture, कि वापस फिर नॉर्मल ही नहीं होता है because of the effect of the snow. Then next line poet says, once the trunk of the tree is bent down, ट्री का ट्रंक जो इतना झुक जाता है कि वो वैसे ही रह जाता है और फिर उससे पत्ते झड़ते रहते हैं and for years we see the leaves falling on the ground. बहुत साल तक वहां फिर वो पत्ते उस ट्री के ट्रंक से गिरते रहते हैं. Once the trunk is bent by the snow, so years after the trunk is bent, the leaves are on the ground. Then the bending of the birches tree is compared to the girl on hand and knees. ये ट्री जो ऐसे झुका है, देखिए पिक्चर में, ये ट्री का ट्रंक ऐसे झुका है. पोएट इज कंपेयरिंग द ट्रंक ऑफ द ट्री, जो ब्रांचेस ऐसे झुके हैं, विथ अ गर्ल विथ हैंड एंड नीज, एंड शी इज making her hair dry in the sun. So bending of the tree is compared to girl or hand or knees on the ground and throwing the hair before them to make it dry. मतलब जैसे बड़े बड़े बाल वाले लोग, लड़के लड़कियां ऐसे सुखाते hair dry से. So here there is no hair dry, here there is sunlight. So this girl has made the hair come in front to dry it in the sun. Similarly, the bending of the tree as a juka is compared to the girl who is bending on knees to make her hair dry in the sun. So the tree which is bending is compared to the bending of a girl who has bent her hair to make it dry in the sun. Poet wants to give some kind of after this I will explain you line by line, so this will help you. This is the paraphrase, this is the concept. If you understand then you'll understand the line by line. Poet wants to give some kind of cause for bending of the snow, but before he assumes, he realizes the truth is not what he thinks or what he prefers. So poet Robert Frost wanted to give some kind of imaginary reasoning कि ट्री क्यों बेंड होता है. He wanted to give some kind of reasoning कि ट्री क्यों बेंड होता है. But then he realizes कि whatever imagination he will fit in, whatever figments of imagination he will think, जो भी ये ख्याली पलाव सोचेगा तो सच नहीं होगा, because सच तो कुछ और है. So poet wants to give some kind of his own reasoning why the tree bends, because but he knows that that is not going to be the real reason. The real reason is the tree bends because of the snow. The real cause for bending of the birches tree is snow, but the poet wants to find it difficult to accept it. ट्री बेंड होता है स्नो के वेट के वजह से, लेकिन पोएट कुछ और ही मान के बैठा हुआ है, एंड ही इज नॉट विलिंग टू एक्सेप्ट इट कि ट्री बेंड होता है बिकॉज ऑफ स्नो, बिकॉज his childhood memories are attached to it, so we'll come to know it. So the real cause of bending of the birches tree is the snow, but the poet wants to believe something else. He does not want to accept this fact. Then poet knows that the truth that the tree is bent by the snow, but he prefers to think that it is done by the boys. So there's a difference between what we know is true and what we prefer to think as truth. Many people who want to make it very big in life, but the reality is not such. So they prefer to live in the world of imagination, in the world of perfection, in the world where there is comfort, in the world where there is no problem. So poet is like no other human being. He is also a human being after all. He is not superhuman being, and at least he is not projecting himself to be a superhuman being. So poet says that I know that the tree bends because of snow, but he wants to make himself believe that the tree bends because of the boys swinging from the branches of the tree. So life is not what we prefer, but life is what it is. This boy who had come to fetch cows, now the narrator is saying कि tree bend हुआ कैसे. So he's giving all these, he goes into his childhood memories, and he says, there was a boy who had come to fetch cows, मतलब वो बकरे, मतलब जैसे आप बकरी चराने वाले लोग होते हैं इंग्लैंड में, they were people who look after the cows. So this village boy, they have come to collect the cows, and he, while the cows are grazing, he uses his energy to hang on the tree and play. तो ये बच्चा जो अपने गाय लोगों को यहाँ चराने आया है, ये ट्री से झूल झूल के खेलता है. Some boys who lived in the villages and forest, मतलब कुछ लड़के, कुछ villagers जो शहर नहीं जा सकते हैं, जो मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटी कैलिफोर्निया जैसे शहर नहीं जा सकते, अमेरिका का शहर जहाँ बेसबॉल खेला जाता है, तो ये बच्चे क्या करते हैं, ये ट्री से झूल झूल के खेलते हैं. बच्चे तो बच्चे ही होते हैं. So these village boys who cannot go to city to play baseball or sophisticated urban games, they play a very naturalistic game of swinging from the branches of the tree, birches tree. Now, the swinging on the branches of the tree was the only game in the village boy, because there is no other option. So, narrator says कि बचपन में उन जहाँ ये रहते थे उस गांव में, अभी के गांव में शायद बहुत कुछ ही होता हो, but he's talking about his own time, his own village, where the only game that the boys could play was swinging from the branches of the tree. Be it summer or winter, all alone, the boy used to swing from the branches of the tree. वो ट्री से झूलना ही उसके लिए दिन रात सब कुछ खेलता, नेटफ्लिक्स, अमेजन प्राइम, गेम, पबजी, सब सब all the game that he could had or he could have was swinging from the branches of the tree. The boy starts swinging on the tree. पहले एक ट्री को झूलता, उसको झुक जाता हो, अब उसमें मजा नहीं है. So he used to go to the another tree. उसको झुका झुका के झुक जाता. Then he used to go to the third tree. He used to hang from the branches of the tree and he used to pull it down and he used to bend, then but not used to break. Then he used to go to the other ones. So the boy starts swinging on one tree, then he goes to the other tree. The boy keeps swinging on the branches of the tree again and again from one to another. So the boy, uh, uh, the, the trunk of the tree is stiff, so he उसको stiffness को lose कर देते हैं. इतना बार झूलता है कि वो stiff नहीं रहता. It becomes limb. Then the boy goes from one branch to another branch, like a king who conquers one kingdom, then he goes to another kingdom, then he goes to another kingdom. So the boy keeps swinging the branches of the tree till the stiffness of the trunk of the tree is gone. And the boy keeps climbing one branch to other, like a king who goes to conquer one kingdom after another. The boy becomes better with swinging with time. So पहले पहले वो expert नहीं था, पहले वो ढंग से गिर जाता था. Then he somehow balanced his art. So फिर वो ट्री का ट्रंक को अच्छा से बैलेंस करने लगा. फिर धीरे धीरे he became expert with time. The boy learned the art of reaching the top of the tree, then bending it. So he through experience learned कि ट्री को कितना बेंड करना चाहिए, फिर स्विंग करके नीचे गिर जाना चाहिए. If the boy jumps on the trunk of the tree, it will harm the tree. So वो ट्री को ट्री पे से चढ़ता था. उसको पता था कहाँ जाके ऐसे नीचे स्विंग करना है, ज्यादा नहीं कि टूट ही जाए. So the boy learned the art of reaching the top of the tree. And then on the top of the tree used to bend. Exact जगह जाके bend करना था. क्योंकि अगर पहले ही करेगा, then he will fall down and it will break the branches and it will also harm the child. So the boy slowly understood कि tree के trunk पे कहाँ तक चढ़ना है, branch पे चढ़ना है, फिर कहाँ से गिरना है. So the boy understood how much to reach, and then without harming the tree used to fall down from the branch of the tree. Swing करके आने में बहुत बच्चों को मजा आता है. Of course, पैन पट जाता है, but this is what they enjoy. The boy learns the art of reaching the top of the branch and staying there with balance. So the boy used to climb the branch of the tree, और वहां जाके वो टॉप में ऐसे बैठता था. So it is like, this is compared to, look at this diagram, it is like filling the cup till the brim, ये diagram, cup till the brim and then overflowing it. So the boy has also learned the art of reaching the top of the branch, staying there with balance and then falling. It is compared to, the boy going on the top of the tree is compared to uh, a person filling the cup till the brim, mane upar wala portion, and then overflowing it. The boy balances on the top of the tree. This is compared with the filling the cup very carefully till the brim mane upar wala portion, and then overflows. The boy throws himself from top on the branch पे चढ़ता है, फिर swing करके गिर जाता है from the tree with his feet like this, feet ऐसे करके swing करके गिरता है. You gently pass through the air. ऐसे swing करके गिरने में ट्री के ब्रांच पे से बैठ जाता है, दोनों पैर को ऐसे करके swing करके गिरता है. So the boy throws himself from the top of the birches tree with his feet forward and he would fall on the ground through the air. So ये बच्चों का खेल तो बच्चे ही समझ सकते हैं. We have become too intelligent to understand the significance of this insignificant game. इतने नॉलेज आ गए हैं कि इनोसेंस चले गए हैं. सो ये when I'm teaching, you might be wondering कि क्या ही खिलौना और क्या ही खेल है. So when you look to the eyes of a child, maybe this is more significant than doing a PhD in psychology. So this is a child's game, going on the branch of the tree with legs apart, swinging, falling into the ground. The poet imagines himself to be a small boy. Poet imagines कि मैं एक बार फिर से वो बच्चा हो जाता, उस ट्री के साथ खेलता, without any care and tension and responsibility about the world. So now narrator will, in the next part of the poem, he will actually talk why he wants to become the swinger of the birches tree, why he wants to imagine his childhood, why he wants to, at least momentary, go back to the world of imagination. So here is the summary of the lines. I've written it for you and then I'll explain the lines. Poet wants to escape from the harsh reality of life. He wants to be a child again. So narrator at that time when he was writing this poem, he had lots of challenges, personal, professional, financial, and political also. So poet was facing lots of challenges of life. So he says that I want to move away from all these harsh realities of life. I want to be a child again. We all feel this at times in life. When we have all money, we have reputation, and then the challenges, and then we feel कि वो कागज की कश्ती, वो बचपन का सामा, वो दादी के कहानी, and then we all have this nostalgia of going back into childhood and then remembering all those paper boards floating into the uh, drain in, when the rain used to come. So this वहाँ rain नहीं था, वहाँ paper boat नहीं था. For the narrator, it was all swinging of the birches tree. So he wants to go back into the world of imagination, where he is just a child whose duty, whose responsibility is to just have fun swinging from the branches of the tree. Poet wants to escape into the world of imagination, where he's tired because he's tired of taking responsibility of decision making and taking tough decisions in life. So poet is now, for time being, wants to escape from this reality. He wants to go back into the world of imagination. सपनों की दुनिया में जाना चाहता है, क्योंकि जिंदगी से अब थोड़ा सा थक सा गया है, थोड़ा सा हार सा गया है. So he says कि अब कुछ पल के लिए हकीकत नहीं, सपनों की दुनिया में जाना ही सही है. This is what he believes. I'm not asking you to buy the theory, but write in the answer sheet. Poet feels that life has become directionless. Then poet says कि अभी मेरा जिंदगी, रॉबर्ट फ्रॉस्ट का जिंदगी, is like traveling through the jungle without any way out. मतलब जंगल में घूमे जा रहे. Look at this jungle. This jungle, if you travel in this kind of jungle, you will realize that you're moving the same path again and again without it's going anywhere. So narrator is comparing his situation in life like traveling in the jungle, which is not leading him anywhere. It's so confusing. Then he says, the problems are so painful. It is like a person who is caught in a cobweb. A time has come into the life of poet when the problem is burning his face. Well, it's very urgent. When something burns in your hand, a coal, then you leave it. So the problems are burning. It means problems are very urgent, very desperate, very demanding. And he feels he is entangled in the cobweb of problems. In the spider web, मकड़े का जाल में जैसे insect फंस जाता है. Narrator feels that he is caught in the waves of problem, in the waves of adversity, challenges, difficulties. So narrator feels that now he cannot handle it. So for time being, instead of watching Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube videos, and Snapchat, he wants to go back into his childhood memories, and he wants to forget all his responsibilities for a time being, so that when he comes back with a renewed sense of energy, with much more force, with much more with much more enthusiasm, zeal, and passion to again fight back with the challenges of life. So when we walk through the dense forest, so life is compared to a dense forest. And there are many branches. Some branches in the dark hit you in the eye, and then you cry, and the blood comes. Narrator situation is like that, where the twigs of problems, जिंदगी के झमेले के branches ने आंख में एक बार खोद दिया. So he compares his situation as if he's walking through the jungle, and there are branches all tangled around, and one of the branches hit his eye and it starts bleeding. He starts weeping. So narrator is comparing his situation to the dense jungle with many branches around that hit us. At times the twig of the branches hit us in the eye. It means the problem and the challenges become so powerful that it forces you to cry. There's a time where everybody cries. There are no people who cannot cry, irrespective of gender. And crying is a very natural response to adversities of life. So narrator is like human being, any other human being, at least when it comes to emotion, we all are same. So narrator compares his situation walking walking to the jungle. एक घना जंगल है, चारों तरफ जंगल झाड़ है, और एक जंगल झाड़ का वो ट्विग उसके आंखों में लग गया, and he is unable to handle it. Poet wants to be away from the burden of this adult life. Narrator says कि अब हमको ये मतलब प्रॉब्लम या एडवर्सिटी या चैलेंजेस ना, अब हैंडल नहीं हो पा रहा है. He wants to go into the world of nostalgia. Nostalgia मतलब वो पहले के अच्छे दिनों की याद. At least for time being, it will calm him. If it cannot solve the solution, it can give him some time to think, rethink, and recalculate, redo his strategies to fight against the problems. So he wants to go back into the world of nostalgia. So poet wants to be away from the burden life. He wants to go back into the world of nostalgia to calm himself, to quiet himself. Once he goes into the world of imagination, he will again come back. He will be more equipped to fight with the burdens of life. तब उसके अंदर थोड़ा हिम्मत आ जाएगा. Poet requests fate not to misunderstand him as a skeptic. Since narrator is trying to go away from the challenges, adversities, problems of life, he's saying, hey, luck, destiny, don't think me as a escapist. He doesn't want to go permanently away. He just wants to keep some time between the problem. So he does not want to permanently escape from reality. He just wants to calm down, not quit. He wants to slow down, not leave it. He wants to regenerate his energy, not succumb to the adversities of life. So there's a difference between a person trying to be escapist permanently and a person who goes back into the into his inner self to get back the courage needed to fight with the adversities of life. So there's a difference. So here Robert Frost doesn't want to equate himself with escapists who sunk away the responsibility, who do not do their work on time, who are immoral, and who always think that somebody else would do it for them. So he's not like them. So he says, next line, poet does not want to be granted the wish to remain in the world of imagination forever. Poet doesn't want to be in the world of imagination forever. Why? Because all those imagination and fantasies are good, but he does not want to run away from his adversities of life, from his responsibilities and challenges. Yes, वो थक गया है. Yes, he's right now unable to cope up. Yes, true that now it's almost impossible for him to bear up. But then he doesn't want to run away. He doesn't want to escape his responsibility. Poet believes that earth is the best place to love because in the world of imagination, you can't love and be loved. Those, even if you love in the imagination, they are just imagination, they are not reality. So, poet wants to come back to this world of challenges, problem, adversities, but he wants to live here. Why? Because in spite of challenges, earth is a place to love. And to love and be loved by all forms and everybody is the greatest thing on earth. To love and be loved by somebody is more powerful than fighting with challenges of life because challenges would come, problems would come. It has come for everybody, no matter who a person is, rich, poor, prophet, incarnations, devil. Life has been challenging for everybody with different shares. So, poet is saying that I want to come back to this earth. हमको और कहीं यादों की दुनिया में नहीं रहना, सपनों की दुनिया में खोना नहीं है हमेशा के लिए, भूलना नहीं है अपने जिम्मेदारियों को. So poet wants to come back to the earth because he believes that earth is the best place. Why it is the best place? Because here he can love and here he can be loved. So in spite of the challenges on earth, earth is the best place according to the narrator, according to the poet. Poet believes the best place to relieve him is the swinging of birches. So why did he talk about swinging of birches? He talked about the tree and birches because according to him, Frost, Robert Frost, he thinks कि वो पेड़ पे झूलना उसके बचपने का सबसे fondest memory है. So by reliving those fond memories of his childhood, he wants to calm down. He wants to just be relaxed for certain time so that he can again be equipped enough to fight. So poet believes that the best place for him, according to him, to relax, to relieve, to calm is to imagine as a swinger of birches. Poet wants to climb on the branches of the tree till the top, and when the tree could hear him no more, he would swing down. So poet wants to be like again once more the swinger of birches tree, कि वो ट्री पे चढ़ता रहे चढ़ता रहे चढ़ता रहे और जब ऊपर पे टॉप पे चला जाए स्विंग करके नीचे गिर जाए. So this is what he wants to do as a child. As an adult who wants to be child once more. सो पोइट फिर से एक बार बच्चा जैसा ट्री पे चढ़ के ऊपर चढ़ के गिरना चाहता है, वो झूलना चाहता है ट्री पे. When the tree could bear the poet no more, he would be dropped in the ground, and then he would face reality. जब ट्री उसको ऊपर तक पहुंचा के गिरा देगा, then the poet would face reality. Poet says that climbing on the tree and then coming down on earth would be a very interesting place because imagination is also important and reality is also important. So, climbing on the tree is a symbol of imagination, going into the world of imagination, fantasy, and then hitting on the ground is a symbol of coming back to reality. So, poet says, I would enjoy both going on the branch of the tree and then coming down because both of them will have its own equal value according to the narrator. Poet believes that swinging on the Birches tree is very good way of going to the world of imagination then coming back to reality. Even if swinging is in mind, मतलब दिमाग में भी अगर swinging करे, so फिर से एक बार उसको हिम्मत मिलता है to fight with the problems of life, to fight with the adversities of life. So in this video, I have discussed all the lines of the poem. And in the next video, I will discuss the poem line by line. So this was the paraphrase background of the poem that I've written it myself so that you can understand. So if you want to know the poem line by line so that you can do MCQ and short question, please watch my next video. In the next part of the video, next episode of the video, I will discuss this line by line. So thank you for watching the video, and if you have found this video helpful, I request you that you please uh, share it with your friends and comment if you have any questions. Thank you.